So as you guys can see from the title of this video, I am burnt out, or at least I was. Essentially today we're going to be talking about everything that's happened over the last couple of months, and my plans really moving forward. This video is not going to be very well structured. I have a few little talking points here. So I guess if you just want to sit down and listen to what I have to say, I appreciate it. Throw it in the background or something. If you don't want to stick around, I completely get it. Very different to what I normally do. But my goal for today is just to be very transparent with you guys about everything that's gone on. That's basically led up to me feeling pretty burnt out over the last couple of months. And yeah, obviously what I plan to do going forward with the channel. I will just say now, I have no intentions of stopping either Pokemon or YouTube. I want to continue doing both. It's just, I will probably be tweaking the way I do things going forward. But essentially this story goes back to the month of August, right? So if you've been around my channel for a while, I've done pretty decently well, I would like to think, at least in the VGC community. But August was the major blow up for me, right? I think in August alone, I gained something like 2,000 subscribers. I've been doing this for almost 2 years now. Actually, it's like, I think looking at the date, I'm about 2 weeks off my first ever like VGC battle I ever uploaded, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so back in August was a big blow up for me. And there was two major reasons for that. One, the World Championships. I did a lot of content around that. I did some streams that were, very good. I think I had like 300 plus viewers in like at a time, which for me was crazy. When I decided to stream Worlds, I honestly thought I'd maybe have 20 people watch me. So to like peak at like 310 viewers at one stage to me was unreal. But also in that same month, we had the announcement for Regulation H, which was what I think the first time since Reg D. I don't know actually when Reg D was announced, but it was the first time in over a year where we had a format that didn't have things like Urshifu, Tornadus, and all that kind of stuff. So it was a much lower power format, than we've had probably since like Reg C. You could probably even argue Reg A, because we didn't have the Ruinous Mons or the Paradox Mons, which definitely kind of crazy. But I think there was a lot of excitement around the new format. And I was pumping out daily content. I think in the month of August, I did something like 26 videos and 3 streams. So I was on that daily grind. I was doing it. I was loving it. I was very excited. But I think an issue I tend to have is I go so hard, right, on that first month of a new format. And because of that, it ends up getting to a stage where like once the excitement of the format kind of dies off, that's where I start feeling a little bit of burnout. But in the past, it was always fine because we always had 3-month formats. And the way I kind of found it worked, at least for me, was I had like 1 month where I was like daily. The next month would be like 4 or 5 videos a week. And then the last month would be like 3 videos a week. And then bang, we have a new format. Excitement goes back up, right? And I think the 4-month structure definitely hurt me a little bit, especially leading like into Worlds and whatnot, because normally where I have that 1 month where I'm doing 2-3 videos a week, now all of a sudden there's an extra month and it's like, I'm struggling to get 2 videos out a week just because, one, I feel like I've spoken about almost everything, and 2, it's just, I feel like I need a little break, right? But yeah, anyway, we have this massive month in August, where I do, as I said, like essentially daily content, and then I think September was the same. I think like September, I still did quite a few videos. I want to say it was somewhere between like 10 to 15, and then I basically get to like this position in October where I'm like sitting there and I'm like, right, I know the burnout's coming eventually. And I've got Perth coming up. Spoiler alert, or not spoiler, Perth was yesterday, by the way. I literally flew in about less than 12 hours ago. At least at the time of recording this, I flew in less than 12 hours ago. So yeah, had a great weekend, and that was basically kind of, after Worlds, that was like the goal, right? I was like, okay, my first event of the season is Perth. I need to prepare for Perth. And I've always found it very difficult juggling content and preparation, right? I have very high expectations for myself. When I go to these events, my goal is to win, right? At bare minimum, at Perth yesterday, I wanted top 16. I didn't get it. And that kind of hurt a lot. I'm not going to lie. For me, I feel like I let myself down. Technically, it was like my worst result I've ever had in terms of like win-loss. In terms of like my placement, I was like fine. But we'll talk about that as we get later into the video. But yeah, essentially my goal was, I had to lock in for Perth, right? So once October hit, I was like, okay, burnout's coming. I need to take a break. So I decided I'm just going to take the whole month of October off playing Pokemon. I still did a little bit of content here and there. And a big reason for that as well was my homie Dim. Dim the Sim started making content. We were talking. He wanted to get into the YouTube game. So I helped him out a lot. I did videos with him on his channel, on my channel. I tried to, give him a lot of advice here and there, like, to help him while he was starting up. And I really, really enjoyed that. And a massive shout out to Dim. We will talk about him later, but he actually got second at Perth yesterday. So I couldn't be more happy for my boy. It was honestly amazing to see it happen. But yeah, so essentially what happens is I'm like, all right, I'm taking the whole of October off. And then it's like November 1st hits, and I'm like, all right, this was the date where I said I need to start prepping. And I just, honestly, I couldn't be bothered. I was like sitting there, I'm like, I really don't want to play the game. I just want to take more time off. I was like, it was nice. I was playing other games with my friends, and I was like, it's actually nice to take a little break from VGC for once, because it had been almost 2 straight years of just focusing solely on it. And then I told myself, all right, we'll wait for LAIC, because, you know, LAIC was like 2 weeks after it. So that I was like, you know, if I wait till LAIC, that gives me, one, a lot more information about how the metagame's developing, and then 2-3 weeks should be hopefully enough time to prep for the event, right? LAIC happens, it was great, you know, I make some videos around it. I think I was doing like 1 video a week or something, and basically I was like, all right, it's time to kick into gear. And I was actually great. I kicked into gear. I found a team I really enjoyed. I was having a lot of success with it. I went to like 2 cups. I got like top 4 at both of them. I think I peaked at like 15th on the ladder. So like I was feeling really good about the team. My prep was going well. And then like 10 days out from the event, I'm just couldn't be bothered playing anymore. Which really sucked, because I feel like my prep was fantastic. Like it was going really well. I was really confident in the team. I just didn't want to play anymore. So I basically took off, I think it was 10 days before Perth, without touching the game. So it was funny, my whole prep for the event was like the span of like 9 or 10 days, maybe like closer to 2 weeks. I don't know the exact time frame on it, but yeah, that was basically it. I just got to a stage again where I'm like, I just need to take a break from the game. And it was funny too, during this time I watched a episode of the 1 Hit KO podcast, I think it's called, Sierra Dawn and Joe Browns. They had Joe Ugarte on. And it was really funny because there was a comment a story he told on it that actually like really resonated with me, where you know, he said he sat down with Sierra after Worlds, and they were having a conversation about his future in the game and whatnot. And you know, he was saying he was like struggling to find enjoyment in the game. And then the new format drops. He, you know, rediscovers, you know, his Torkoal and Jump Loft, you know, game plan, and he just said, you know, it just reinvigorated him, right? He had a team he loved. He was excited to play it. And that like kind of gave me hope. And I'm like, a part of me feels like that was my issue with the format. As much as I did enjoy the format, what I love about this game is playing my Chi-Yu and I click my fun buttons in the sun. Like that is how I really enjoy this game. And so part of me thinks that's why like I will really enjoy the next format, because I didn't really play it too much. I only helped my friends prep for the last format. I didn't actually like take it super serious because I didn't have any events on the format. But part of me is like, all right, new format, like Chi-Yu's gonna like light that fire in me, right? So fingers crossed that happens. But anyway, fast forward, right? You know, we're at Perth. And as I said, I hadn't prepped. Sorry, I had prepped, but not as much as I should have, right? We go into the event. And I'm not going to touch on it too much here, just because I think we are planning on doing a bit of like a breakdown eventually. Me and some of the boys might do like a podcast style video. But essentially I went into Perth, and the worst part for me was I woke up the Saturday morning, awful headache. I think I slept funny. My neck was sore. I had a headache. Basically I had the headache like the entire day. I go on to win my first 2 rounds against incredibly good players. I think they actually both made day 2. In round 3, I end up getting the winner of the event, Ollie Mario. Very good kid. It was his first time ever in the Masters division as well. One of the best seniors players the last few years. Comes into Masters, wins his first regional. So massive shout out to Ollie. Great kid. He helped me a lot for Brisbane last year as well. So yeah, he beats me in round 3. I win round 4. Round 5, I think I just played bad. I lose it. Very unfortunate. I still managed to get to the winning in, even though I was like feeling really shit. And it was funny too. Like that was the first time in the winning in where like my brain was like, hey, it's go time. Like we got to win this. And then if you guys follow me on Twitter and saw it, I'm not going to necessarily say the hacks is what 100% cost me, because I did get 2-0'd. But in game 1, I feel like I was in a really dominant position. My Golden Go gets frozen by a Porygon 2 Ice Beam. And then because of that, I was unable to KO the D-Knight that turn because it was the last turn of Tailwind, which means D-Knight was then able to reset the Tailwind, and eventually Ursaluna was able to beat me, which for me really sucked. And then game 2, I got like a double min roll on the Ursaluna, fake out into Make It Rain, did like 95%, and I ran the calcs after the battle. Even if he was the bulkiest variant I think he could have been, I literally double min rolled it. All I needed was like literally any of the 12 highest rolls and Make It Rain. I KO him and we go to game 3. But it is what it is, right? It's the game we play, sadly. And while I do think my luck in that set was really bad, I also didn't play it well. I don't think I played well at all this weekend, which is the one thing that really for me at least, frustrates me, because as much as my prep could have been better, right? My play definitely could have been better. I was still there in the win and in. So that really hurt. It ended up turning out I had like the hardest run of all the 4-3s. I finished with the top resistance of all the players. As I said, I think 5 of my opponents made day 2. Which is kind of crazy when you play 7 rounds and you lose 3 rounds, or like you lose 2 rounds kind of early. To have like that many of your opponents actually make day 2, like for me to win round 1 and 2 and both those guys I beat both day 2 is kind of crazy. But yeah, so like that is what it is. You know, Perth was, you know, a bit of like a roller coaster for me. But it was also really good because there was something else I've been thinking about for a long time, which is casting, right? And again, I probably won't touch on it too much here because there's still a lot that needs to go into it. But I have been reaching out to people within the Australian scene, in particular, one of the guys, Steve, PvP Steve, I believe his name is online. He ran the Pokemon Go stream essentially for Australia at Perth. And I was talking to him, and I'm hopefully talking to some other people about potentially hosting the next 2 events, being Brisbane and Melbourne. And I think the hardest thing for me was like, because I had been burnt out and I didn't necessarily want to play the game all the time. I was like, casting would be a great, way to pivot to, right? You know, help the community grow, and you know, maybe I take a year off VGC playing and I, you know, help grow the community and whatnot. But then I have this poor result at Perth, and now I've got that fire where I'm like, shit, I need to go to Brisbane. I need to go win, like, because for me, not making day 2 really hurt. And so now I'm torn where it's like, I want to host the stream, I want to play, but I'll figure it out as the time comes. I still would really like to get the stream going, even if to start with, I'm only able to host like something like the, you know, the top cut or whatever. But their chats I need to have with ESL, but they won't happen until next year. So sadly, I don't have any more information on that. But for people interested, yeah, I will hopefully be able to help bring some streams to the Australian region. But yeah, this kind of like, I guess, gets into my plans of like moving forward as well. One thing to like mention about going forward is I will be doing a couple like casting streams. So next Saturday, myself and Dim, who got second at Perth again, massive shout out to him, we're going to be, I think, commentating Lord Kai, another Australian content creator's cup he has next weekend. So game plan is he's going to stream it, we're going to be in Discord, we're going to cast it, we'll be on his stream. I will most likely, push that out obviously when the time comes, be like, hey, you know, go check it out, whatever. And then I'm also thinking about hosting a little an invite tournament with some of my friends, again, just to get more casting experience. Stream it out, you know, it'd be fun sometime over the Christmas break. So that's like one small side of things. And then I guess then the question comes up with my content, and then 2, my competing, right? I still will try to play all the GCs. One thing as well I didn't mention, I'm so devastated about it too, is I took my laptop to Perth with me because I wanted to record my GC games, right? I didn't care so much about streaming them because obviously Perth was the number 1 priority. But I really wanted to at least make a fun video out of it using Trico. And I'm really sad because I wanted to be like, yeah, you know, make a video. I got CP with my favorite Pokemon, right? And it turns out my laptop is not good at recording a Switch game. It was just choppy. It's just screenshots every 5 seconds. So that one, yeah, that definitely hurt when I watched back the footage of like 15 games and I was like, oh, I can't use any of it. It was really disappointing. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, so that kind of sucked. But that also leans more into the kind of content I want to make moving forward, right? Because as much as I've loved what I've done in the past, I think one of the things that burns me out the most is when I'm doing a daily content grind, right? And again, I didn't even touch on it at the start as well. Like the main reason actually for the burnout was work. Like VGC, like competing and I can't believe I didn't say this at the start. Competing and YouTube, I love them both, right? They're really good. I love doing them, but you know, the 2 of them paired up with my work is what really burnt me out. Work has been crazy the last, you know, really the last year. But it's really finally caught up on me, which is kind of sad, right? It's finally got to that point where I get home from work and I don't want to do anything. And this is the first time, like I'm 27, just to be transparent. This is like the first time in my life I've ever, like, I get home from work, I don't want to do anything. I've always been like, you know, even if it's not, you know, YouTube and stuff like that, or like spending time with my partner, it's I'm gaming with the boys, right? You know, I get home, let's play some Dota. That was like literally for almost a decade of my life. It was I get home, I play Dota. And I get home and I just sit on the couch. I don't want to do anything, which was like really, really shitty, right? And so that kind of like loops back around to what I was saying, sorry, where it's like when I'm like working and work's busy, sorry for the bump there, it's like it's hard to want to do that daily grind, right? And that was, you know, in the past I would have a couple nights where I say, hey, tonight I'm just gonna have an early one, you know, I get home from work, I'll go to the gym, I'll go to bed, right? I'm not gonna record any content tonight. I'll just skip a day, right? And it went from I'm gonna skip a day to I'm gonna skip a week to I'm gonna skip a month. And that's where I want to tweak things, right? Because as much as I love doing what I was doing, I don't think it's the best for like short-term to long-term growth, right? And a part of that reason is because I guess the VGC scene is like pretty small and niche, right? Like if you look at other VGC creators, it's like obviously like Wolfie's up here, like he's the king, and then you got like Aaron's like, you know, not just below him, but he is the next guy. And then obviously Moxie as well is coming for Aaron right now. I think Moxie's at like 200k subs. Actually, let me double check that on the side. This, I didn't claim this was going to be a professional stream or anything. I'm not planning to cut it. That's why you guys saw me take a sip of water before. But Moxie boosted. And I'll also like give Moxie credit as well, because he is someone I've spoken to in the past. He's a really nice guy. So he's actually 190k subs. But really after Moxie, the drop off is huge, right? And again, I've spoken to Moxie in the past, very, very nice guy. And I think we saw Moxie grow when he stopped doing the kind of content I make, right? Where when he stopped doing like the VGC battles and he started doing these video essays, you know, putting a lot of time and effort into them, right? Edited videos, like you saw that growth where, again, I don't know the exact stats. I can only go off what I remember, but I feel like it was like 1 month he had like 36k subs, and then like 2-3 months later he was like pushing 100k, which is like absolutely insane, right? But that's the kind of thing I want to see for myself, I guess. And that's where I'm like, have been thinking again for the last few months, like how do I change this? How do I go from, you know, a 7k sub channel to a 10 to a 20k sub channel in the matter of months rather than a matter of years? And that's where, again, I've got a lot of ideas. I've got a massive list I've been like compiling over the last year of stuff I want to make, but I really think moving forward, what I need to do is, rather than like try to rush out a video every day, plan, you know, 1 to 2 videos a week, which again, it sucks, but because my work schedule, my personal life schedule, you know, I try to maintain a social life, you know, try to obviously keep things with my partner good, you know, make sure me and her are on the same terms, and all that kind of stuff, right? And still obviously get content out for you guys. So I've thought about it a lot, and I still want to make like strictly VGC style content. One of the things, you know, for example, I'll throw out there was a video I planned on doing, which I'm sad I didn't actually get to do, and maybe I can get it out over Christmas, was the VGC Nuzlocke. Anyone in my Discord knows about it, because I like kind of floated the idea out there. But like the idea for it was I could make like basically stream and then turn the stream into a video. The idea was pretty simple. It was like, okay, I'm gonna go catch one random Pokemon from every route in the game. Using my Violet game, I'll start at Pokeball, because like I don't play VGC on that. We start at Pokeball, and I'll see if I can get the Master Ball. Anytime a mon, you know, gets KO'd, it's considered dead. I can't use it, right? And I think in the base game you get like 50 odd encounters, which honestly seems like a lot. But then you got to remember, like if I lose a game, I lose 4 mons. So it's like you can't really lose any more than 10 games. And I was talking to friends, you know, they were saying like, oh yeah, you could push it back, do it in the DLC. And just, you know, include the legends, right? Because on my Violet version, I still haven't caught all the legends. So it's like, yeah, technically I could do that or whatever, right? But essentially the idea of what I'm trying to say here, I feel like I'm just rambling at this point. But it was like, you know, I could do this stream where, you know, the stream might take place over a month, where I do one day where I catch everything, and then I spend like 1 to 2 weeks preparing, you know, building a bunch of different teams, getting it all ready to go. And then once I'm like ready to go, then I start streaming like every night, every other night, whatever it might be, you know, an hour or 2 of battles until eventually I either beat it or I don't. And then I make a video out of it, right? Like that's the kind of thing I was like referring to, where it's, you know, it's more high quality. I think it appeals to a larger audience, and all that kind of stuff, right? And, you know, another video idea as well I have, which I've told myself I'm gonna do. I was talking to Dib about it. He said he'll help me out with it. Is a recap of Regulation G, because obviously we are about to go back to Regulation G. And it's really funny too, a lot of my Reg G content has started getting views again, which for me is really funny, because one thing I've always not hated about like making VGC style content, but it always felt like a video would gain views all the way up until basically all the way up until the next format started, right? So like I can make a reg, you know, B video, and that would continue slowly trickling getting views. Reg C drops, never gets a view again. So it is really funny to see that like some of my old Reg G stuff is getting views again. But essentially the game plan would be a more like scripted video in a sense, to keep it more like to the point, right? Rather than me rambling like I'm doing today. Like I feel like I've spent the last 5 minutes talking about this same topic and I just keep going off on little tangents. But it would be like, hey, this is what won world. These were the best cores in the game. You know, that kind of stuff. Make it more, you know, shorter, precise, like a 10-15 minute video. Have it almost fully scripted, throw in some editing there, and bang. You know, it might take me a week to produce that video, but I feel like that is higher quality, because at the end of the day, what YouTube wants to see is like, one, like click-through rate on videos, the amount of likes and stuff like that. And I will say, I did 2 video essay style videos. I want to say, was it September? I think it was September. And those videos were like by far the most liked videos. Like the like to view ratio was by far the best. The interactions in terms of comments was by far the best. So to see the feedback on those 2 particular videos really makes me think like, hey, these shorter but, you know, edited, scripted videos definitely do better. And that's a big reason why I can see how Moxie has blown up over the last year or 2, right? Is, you know, he put in all this effort. They're obviously harder to produce, right? It's a lot easier for me to sit here and ramble about, you know, what happened at Perth, and I could, you know, show you guys the results. But you know, put in the effort, script it, record it, edit it, all that kind of stuff. I think it's definitely worth it in the long run. So that's kind of like what you guys might see from me going forward. I definitely also want to make a lot more educational content, especially with Generation 10 potentially coming out in like the next year or so. I definitely want to do stuff, you know, trying to teach people how to EV better, you know, especially like when it comes to like EVs as well, understanding why you do certain things. Like if you're going to go max on a Pokemon, you got to understand like, why am I going max on this Pokemon, right? If, you know, if I've got X amount of bulk, why am I hitting X amount of bulk? Why am I hitting, you know, a bump, for example, in special attack, all that kind of stuff, right? Like I think for me, that's the kind of stuff I really want to do going forward, right? Where, you know, if I do a guide on EVs, right? If I put the time in, you know, script it out well, edit it well, that's a video that could continue to get views for, you know, potentially the next year or 2, right? Opposed to a video that'll get views for the next week or 2. So yeah, for me at least, that's a big thing. But, you know, as I said, like I still love the game. I still love Pokemon. I still love VGC. I am probably planning to take a break. I don't know how I'm going to do it, because like I told myself I want to take at least a month off. And the big reason for that is Brisbane is going to be, I think it's like the end of March, which like the issue with it being the end of March is it's like really deep into Reg G again. Like I'm going to have to like prepare for that event if I'm playing in it. Which again, I fully intend to play it if I can't cast it. But again, that's going to come down to ESL and TPCI, whether or not I get to do all that. But I'm gonna put in the work at least. I'm gonna try get us a stream, and if I don't get it, it is what it is, right? I get to play then at least and try to get my get back for Perth, which was pretty pretty disappointing in my opinion. But yeah, it's like everything. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to talk about. I spoke about the change of content going forward. I spoke about potentially casting. I briefly touched on Perth. As I said, if you guys are interested in knowing more about Perth, I was speaking to Dim today. Might try to get a couple of the boys together and see if they want to do like a kind of just like a mini podcast type thing where, you know, 4 or 5 of us talk about the event, talk about our individual results, you know, everything that went on, right? Just the, you know, the fun we had and whatnot. So yeah, but I think that's kind of it. I will say I'm feeling a lot better now. I did take an extra day off work just because I got in at like 2 a.m. this morning. Which was pretty rough, but look, it is what it is. I think it's better to be home in my own bed than in a hotel for another night. But yeah, like what are we at? Yeah, we're approaching 30 minutes almost, so I think it's probably a good time to wrap this up. I guess if you guys made it through the full video, thank you. Thank you for listening to me just ramble about nonsense. But yeah, I think it was good to talk about this. I've wanted to speak about this now for probably about the last like 3 weeks. I started like thinking, oh, maybe I should make a video like this. I don't know how it's going to perform. I definitely don't think it's going to do that well. But it doesn't matter. I don't care about the performance of this video. I only care about the performances of the ones going forward. But yeah, I guess if there's anything you guys want to, you know, hear me talk about going forward, if you have any suggestions, things you want to, you know, videos, educational style content you guys want to hear about, let me know down below. Because yeah, I think that's, to me, that's the most important thing going forward is I want to increase the quality. For me, I feel like the last 2 years, I've really focused on quantity And I really want to change that, and I want to start focusing on the quality of the videos, because at the end of the day, I think it's a lot more fulfilling as well, rather than, you know, just like talking about something that happened for an hour. You know, sit down, script it out, edit it, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if there's anything you guys, I guess, want to hear about going forward, let me know down below. But yeah, if you stuck around this long, I truly appreciate it. Yeah, I will catch you boys in the next one. Peace.